was seashells. Seashells were not my style, so they're coconut shells. They're at the tailor getting sized, so maybe next week.
Got you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have
Wait,
to remember that.
did you need it to make smaller?
Come on. You're right. Yes, you got me.
Okay. Come on.
Obviously, we
Let's
are
do it.
very professional here.
Yes,
Well,
of
for
course.
anybody who's ready to join us, which we have nobody yet, but usually it takes a few minutes for people to pop in, we are here to talk about Section 31. This is the crew of Letters for Legacy, the senior officers, most of us, and we are here to talk about what we think about Section 31, how it will affect the possibility of legacy happening, but we also want to give like an honest review of the movie itself. And joining me are Maria, Sean, and do you want me to call you Dazzy or Diana or Fred,
Whatever.
Bob?
Fred,
Whatever is
Bob,
here with
I
us.
like Bob. Bob is cool. Let's
DJ
Bob.
Dizzy Daz.
call me Bob.
Bob. All right, Bob. That's, that has an inside joke in our family.
Uh,
I'm gonna take another one.
I identify
cool.
as a meat popsicle.
You, all right, Bruce Willis. Maria, where are you from? And just
Okay.
tell us a little something about yourself.
Okay, I'm from Spain, from Madrid, and I'm a doctor in biology, and I am a long life Star Trek fan. And I don't know, I have two children, and my husband is a very Trekkie. So I think that's one of the reasons I love him, probably. And well, I'm also a writer for children, and I've published several books for children.
It's fantastic.
that's all.
Yes. Like educational books so that kids get some knowledge when they're reading, along with some entertainment.
Yeah, that's right. Mhm.
All right. And Sean, would you like to tell us about yourself?
All right. Well, greetings and salutations. Sean from Soul Sector Earth. What do we call this? The Las Vegas sector, Las Vegas, Nevada. Lifelong sci-fi fan. My earliest memory is watching, as a lot of you might remember, the OJ sci-fi epic Capricorn 1, released in 1977. No? All right.
No.
But Star Trek, definitely grew up on TOS. My older brother having me watch that. Had the privilege of working at Star Trek The Experience another lifetime ago. And part of that brought me the joy of actually visiting the sets of Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and actually getting to meet and even become friends with some of the people who worked on that show. So Star Trek is just in my blood. And today I'm wearing my Timu Star Trek shirt, which, if I can just dive right in with the commentary, the shirt kind of looks like it knows Star Trek, but it really doesn't. If you look really close, They actually made a scan of a badge, and you can see the clip of the badge right there. So no one understood exactly what a Delta Shield was supposed to look like, and they just printed that on the shirt. Luckily, they refunded my money. So
Oh, hey.
much like Section 31, it has Star Trek in the name, but I'm not sure if it actually knows what Star Trek is.
That's fair. And Miss Bob, would you like
Yeah.
to tell us a little about
Bobby.
yourself?
Yeah,
we
right.
know her also as Diana.
Yeah, my name is Bob, and I'm from Germany. And yeah, I literally grew up with the reruns of Star Trek. First with, of course, Kirk and Spock, but then there was TNG, and I really loved TNG. My first ship was Diana and Will, of course, and then there was Deep Space Nine, and yeah, later there was Voyager, and I kind of, I like Star Trek in general, but also sci-fi. So
All right. And I'm Katie. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I also enjoy Star Trek. I always joke and say that I've enjoyed Star Trek since gestation because I don't remember Star Trek not being our television at home, us not going to every single movie, watching the premiere of The Next Generation when it came out as a family in the family room. So I grew up on Star Trek as well. And As far as personally, I'm married. I've got 4 kids, 3 grandkids, live in Indiana, and I am a brain surgeon by life, by day. No, I'm not. I make YouTube videos. That's that's it.
Same thing.
That's the same. Brain surgery, raising kids. That's all. Same
Yeah.
thing. Yes.
That's
Same
more
demands.
or less the same.
So
Very
we
complicated
all
in any way.
we all have seen at least part of Section 31 where Maria is. It's just not available yet, but she's seen parts of it and has seen enough to make an assessment, her opinion. So
Yeah.
the rest of us have seen it
Yeah.
through at least once, probably twice. Regretted the first 15 minutes. So where should we start with this wonderful, wonderful bit
You know
of
what?
discussion?
Before we talk anymore, I just want to make a specific comment about what is so disheartening for me about this particular installment of Star Trek is just the extreme divisiveness. And that's who Star Trek fans are. We've always hated things before we like it. We've always butted heads. We're only human. But just the level of people attacking each other, people attacking the actors, the creators, not just asking for people to be fired, but literally asking for people's heads. So, gosh,
I saw that one.
that's a little untrek-like, and that's concerning, particularly the thing that we've been fighting for the last 2 years. Unscientific, but I think it's about 90% of the fandom support Star Trek Legacy. And this particular installment seems to be completely the other way around. There's maybe 10% who love it, really enjoyed it, thought it was something interesting, new direction. And everybody else seems to really
Not like it.
have some strong opinions.
Okay, I think you're right.
So I'm just hoping we can have fun and keep it positive. It's hard to do because there is so much that I dislike about this, but there are a lot of people that I do respect that absolutely loved it. And people have different perspectives. Everyone's brain is wired up differently. And if you enjoyed it, good for you. And Star Trek should have that opportunity to go out and experiment and do new things. And sometimes it fails. And with 900 episodes and now this being the 14th film, yeah, we have some stinkers sometimes. By the way, on that note, today is Threshold today. Threshold? Is it Threshold? Is that the
Yes,
episode with the
yes.
newts
Threshold,
of Voyager?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Very
An
nice.
epic,
Very nice
an epic
episode.
classic of Voyager.
Very good episode. Yeah.
Yes.
Very funny.
Sorry. We all just sort of died there.
I'm sorry.
I agree
I'm
with
sorry
everything
to
you
do the
said.
trigger content warning thing, but that's
No. There's nothing wrong with that. And I agree with you that we should all have our own opinions. And there's plenty of people who didn't like this Star Trek series or that Star Trek episode or that Star Trek movie. We should all be allowed to say it just wasn't our bag. My problem with it, as far as like movie wise, there wasn't a moment that wasn't utterly predictable. I was so annoyed with knowing exactly. I knew who the mole was. I don't know why everybody else was so confused.
what gave it away.
I knew the moment that she stepped off the ship or up to her family that they were going to die. That if she survived, there had to be a final test. When she said, especially when she said 2 tests, I'm like, well, they're all going to die. This was the final one. I'm mad at that. I don't mind a little bit of predictability because if you've watched enough Star Trek, you might be able to predict a few things. But this had nothing to do with Star Trek. It was just I don't know, lazy.
If you're
I
going
don't
to
know.
do, if you're going to do a predictable schlock, what I would have been much more interested in seeing is more of that Emperor Georgiou backstory. Like, what is this Hunger Game, Squid Game competition that they went through for 2 years? That might have been entertaining.
Yeah.
That
I
might have
think
been
that
more
there is
interesting. Yeah.
I think that there is a very serious basic problem in this film, and that is that we know the character. Georgiou is tyrant, is cruel, is manipulative. Excuse me, my accent, if you don't understand me. I hope
We
you
love
understand.
your accent.
You're
Thank you very
good.
much. Thank you.
Wait, Maria's the mole.
Okay, so I was saying, Georgiou has heart and rejoiced in the suffering of others. So a sad personal history doesn't accept her from everything everything she has done. When you create a character with inner darkness, you must be very careful because not everything can be forgiven. No, not everything can be forgiven. There are actions that the audience is not willing to forgive, even if you tell them that it was the fault of some dramatic circumstances. I think one of the big problems with this film is that we know who Giorgio was and what she has done. And we are not convinced by the reasons that try to justify her behavior and that we see at the beginning of the film. Reasons that are also a blatant copy of the plot of other famous movies.
Yeah.
So I
Nope,
think
you're
that's a really big problem.
I think
Yeah.
I think a big problem is when we see the first scenes when she returns to her family, and there is all this telling and talking and whatsoever, and at some point you realize that she is up to be emperor. She wants that, and she's doing that, and she's knowing what she's doing, and she chooses this path.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she chooses this path. So she is not, as you said, a victim of the circumstances, but she chooses this path to be like that. And I mean that's a difference we can compare to another great dark character. I mean, Seven of Nine. There's a difference. I mean, Seven of Nine was the victim of the circumstances. She did horrible things in the name of the collective, but it was never her choice. She never had this. So at some circumstances we can forgive her what she did in the name of the collective, but I'm not willing to forgive a dictator. She yeah, a dictator. She choose to be that person. She choose to be cruel. She choose to be this emperor that is hated. And I think her companion said it at some point that she chose to be like that. She
Yeah.
had the choice to be a completely different emperor, and she chose that way.
When
And
San
that
is
made me-
dying, it brings her the God's End. Which is it? God's End. Oh gosh, great comedy there.
no,
What?
yeah, no. Where they
No.
say no.
No.
So,
No.
just speaking about Giorgio, even if you haven't seen Discovery, and particularly, I guess, if you have, those opening scenes actually make Giorgio worse because you see exactly what Diana
Yeah.
is saying. You know,
It's
she
all-
obviously
right.
was raised in a small community living off the land. She returns to a loving family after
Yeah.
2 years and immediately proceeds to kill them in order to take that last step towards becoming emperor. All the time showing compassion. San shows up, shows those last moments of compassion. Oh, the two of us were one. We have this connection. And just on a dime, flips to now you are my lifetime slave and mutilates him. And that just shows us that to the core, Giorgio is a sociopath. There is no redemption for that character versus, you know, one of, I think, the great villains in Star Trek was Gul Dukat. And we see Gul Dukat is someone throughout Deep Space Nine that wrestles with his own morality, wants to see himself as a good person. It seems that sometimes he's seeking the approval of Sisko, but at the end, he fails and he succumbs to power. He succumbs to something that is part of the psychological struggle of being human, or Cardassian in this case, is power, and power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. You know, there is where you have an interesting character and an interesting analysis of tyranny, but not so with Giorgio.
No, the point is, as you said, you are corrupted by power, but Jojo was corrupted right from the beginning, right? She was.
He's corrupt to the core.
Yeah, she's corrupted to the core. She's an evil person right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And as you said, what I was wondering, the first scene when she entered to the family, you saw they are really loving her.
Yeah.
And she didn't give a, you know.
Yeah, and
that-
what's the what's the point of her crying over their bodies if the killer is herself and she wants to kill them because of power?
Sociopathy. Classic sociopath.
Yeah. She cares
Um,
about only what she cares about. We saw that with Michael on Discovery. She really didn't care about anything else that was going on, but she did have some feeling for Michael, who was the stubble of the child she raised. But
Yeah, but why did she adopt it, Michael? That's so not fitting in the sociopath thing, right? I googled sociopath, and I came to the conclusion that she is not 100%. She is like on a spectrum, somewhere in the middle or something, because otherwise this entire characteristic wouldn't fit. You know,
yeah,
she is as a teenager or a young woman, she is so corrupted, but over the time she's like a little bit sentimental, and there is Michael, and she has a feeling for Michael, and Michael betrayed her because she became too weak, and then she returned in the time and started this, I don't know, business, whatever
yeah.
you want to call it, but you need certain skill set to do that. And if you're a pure sociopath, you can do that, but you're too unstable. You can't have relationships. So
Yeah.
she's somewhere on the spectrum. Would be interesting, but it isn't in that point.
I
You know,
think
it's
that
funny.
Totally clear.
I'm having a moment of self-reflection. And in terms of being a critic, you know, this is something that's been part of fandom for a while. And I think back to when the prequel trilogy of Star Wars came out. And at that time, there was so much hate and disappointment in those films. And my thought at that time always was, okay, you know what? You go make your own films. Because really, those who can't create critique, I'm just going to put it out there. But in terms of my critique, very much like Diana, like I'm the type of fan that I'm going to dig in. You know, we got the diagnostic handbook out and we're literally trying to diagnose, you know, what is going on with this character. And for me personally, I come from this very nostalgic, perhaps, perspective of Gene Roddenberry's vision, and the importance that that vision stays alive in Star Trek, because, you know, this is something that is very unique in the number of people who have been inspired by Star Trek. It is an inspirational institution, and we have people that became scientists and teachers and engineers and astronauts. And I say to myself, you know, is anyone going to watch Section 31 and be inspired to do anything or have, you know, any deeper thought about the human condition? Or in the case of many people, it's just pure entertainment. And I guess that's fine.
Yeah, the second time I watched it, I was like, all right, instead of approaching it like it's Star Trek, I'm going to approach it like it's just sci-fi. Just sci-fi. Just, I love sci-fi. I'll watch sci-fi. And I still wasn't impressed. I kept going, well, they took that from Star Wars. There's a moment where I'm thinking, this reminds me of an episode of Farscape. So I know. All right, the episode where Michael and Dargo are, I'm sorry, Michael, but John Crichton and Dargo and Chiana and Jem are down on a planet for basically shore leave. And on the planet, the bad guy, I guess, is draining people's endocrines or one of their adrenal glands and then using it as a substance, an illegal substance. And then they go to find out what happened because Dargo and John, woke up in women's clothing in this tube glass thing. At any rate, it reminded me of that club. Giorgio's club reminded me of that club and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, even the music reminded me of that episode.
Yeah,
I thought it was Frost in Paradise with the diva Pavla Laguna on stage. To your point, it's very derivative, just as a piece of entertainment in terms of its production design. And to answer, you know,
God, yes.
I don't think so. It doesn't just fail as a Star Trek movie. It is in essence anti-track. And it tells you from the very beginning where they do the introductory ship flyover with the Delta, and the Delta in Star Trek is literally reversed.
Backwards,
You know, the creators are telling you this, we're giving you anti-track. I think that was their intention, is to create something anti-track. But then, you know, these people don't go out. You know, I don't want to drop names, but, you know, Alex Kurtzman, he's the guy sort of at the center of all this in terms of the phase 3 of Star Trek and the streaming era of Star Trek. You know, he doesn't wake up in the morning and think to himself, I'm going to go make crap track. I'm going to crap all over the fans. His job is to get eyeballs onto television screens. And in those terms, I just don't see how it succeeds at all. I think on par, far more of the core base, the people that have been watching it for decades, or, you know, they became fans in the 90s, or, you know, they became fans more recently, even with Discovery. Like, I think far more of those people are going to be offended than someone is going to say for the first time, oh, Star Trek is looking cool and exciting and pew, pew, bang, bang. And it really adds up to, you know, there's so much of this sort of just disposable entertainment that's being produced in the streaming era. It happens all the time on Netflix. You know, I think a couple weeks ago, the Netflix of the week was Back in Action with Jamie Foxx, and they brought Cameron Diaz back from retirement after 10 years. And 2 weeks later, I've forgotten about it. It played like someone dusted off a script that was intended to be the sequel to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But I'd rather go and watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt from 20 years ago than whatever the schlock is that Netflix rolled out. And, you know, the same thing with this movie. This is something that is just, it's background. It's not really meant to be an engaging movie. You know, I guess people are calling it long tracks, but I think it's more short attention span tracks. You know, it's made for the TikTok generation, that it's supposed to be chopped up and memed and served up in, you know, 30-second videos or whatever it is that, well, you know, I watch it too. I doom scroll through my reels. But no, not a track movie, not an entertaining science fiction movie.
Yeah, that's right. Because talking from a point of view of a person who has to write stories, as me, so the stories must entertain. Whether if you want to have Star Trek taste or values of Star Trek or not. But the problem is the story is not well constructed.
No.
Well written. It's not well written.
No,
It's
isn't.
not well written.
Not well written because, for example, because I haven't watched it, I haven't watched the whole film, but from what I've watched, the way the information is presented to the audience is very childish, in my opinion. Georgiou's abilities, for example, could have been shown in a more elegant way. The dangerousness of the character should have been shown, not told. And you can see written, literally written in the screen. The way they appear on screen, those skills, have more similarities to a role-playing game.
Yeah, because of the cards and stuff.
A movie that has cost millions of dollars. So you can read in the screen extremely dangerous, lethal force, martial arts, and
Right. That narrative dump that happens at the beginning, the sort of mission orders from control. And, you know, again, talking about production value, it looks like something if you were playing a video game on PlayStation 2 back in 1999 is.
That's right. That is so.
I was going to say, for production values, I'm sorry, I just got to interrupt for a second. When it came to the production values, I thought some of it was fairly good for what we expect from Trek now. The space station that Georgiou's. Yeah, there were some good moments. I don't want to say the whole thing was bad. Okay, I'm sorry, Maria. Please continue.
Don't worry. I think that producers and screenwriters and everybody in charge must respect the audience, because when we feel the audience that we are not being we haven't been respect, I don't know if you can understand me or not. So if I feel that the other person doesn't respect me and my intelligence, I feel
You will
angry.
respect my intelligence.
Yes.
Sorry to step over you.
So I understand the people angry about this film, because it's like, okay, you can watch whatever, I don't mind. So I know that you are going to eat this thing because you like Star Trek and you are going to eat it. No, no, excuse me, but I'm intelligent enough to know that you are not written, you have not written a good piece of
Shit.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and
that's
I
right.
know
You
that
know,
some of it is because they had this series in mind and they tried to put this series into a movie. Somebody
but
should
they
tell
could
them to
only
stop
get
doing that.
90 minutes of movie out of a series.
It
What
was,
happened?
No,
I
one.
mean, I'm so irritated that like the only character that we met that I enjoyed was Quasi. Quasi's the only character out of all those new characters that I enjoyed. And
Mm,
I'll watch any Trek. I feel bad calling this Trek at this point, honestly.
Hey,
yeah.
Mary Jose, speaking of eating things, was the human eyeball that Georgia was using as a cocktail olive, was
Oh,
that real or was that replicated? And does
I
it
hope,
matter?
I hope it was replicated. Really, I hope it was replicated. But that is also disturbing. You know, you don't need that to tell a story. And Star Trek never needed these kind of things to tell a good story.
yeah.
Why do you put there, baby, in the screen, that thing, an eyeball? You don't need it to tell a story.
But the point is, and that's probably the reason why I stopped watching Discovery. There's a certain cruelty and violence that taking place in those last productions, where I say I don't need to see that, because if I want to see this crap, I just put on the news, because that's I don't want to see that in Star Trek. I have nothing against a good fight. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, beautiful fight. I mean, we saw it in Star Trek. Picard, it was a beautiful fight scene with Michelle Hurd, and she did a great job. And it was and Michael Dorn, of course, and it fitted in the storyline. Okay, and I think that's what was beautifully made. So but in Discovery and in this, there is so much unnecessary
Violence.
that and unnecessary cruelty and so many fights. I mean, I'm not into this. Star Trek is about being smart, being clever, being, you know, doing stuff with your mind, solving problems with intelligent and not with your fists.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit, you know, I miss that. I mean, there was the scene when you see like Jojo, like, oh, I put all the puzzles together, and I'm thinking, girl, you're really slow for Emperor. I mean, I figured that
Oh,
out scenes before, when
Yeah.
I saw, oh, that's your plan, and you have this guy in this smart the Nanette or whatever it's called. It's
Nanokin.
fast.
no kidding.
And I hated this character. I hated this Vulcan so much.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I saw it and I thought, oh, I hate this. I no, I don't like that. And then yeah, I'm a little guy. I can and fly in whatever I want. And then I saw this mech guy, and it's like, oh yeah, right. I think I know what's going to happen, and
Well,
it literally
he
happened.
tells us. He tells us exactly what he's gonna do.
Yeah,
I can fly into little
yeah.
mechs and do all kind of stuff. It's like,
And then you
okay.
see Jojo like dum 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 dum. There's I thought, oh, really, girl? Okay,
Well,
take
when
your
they're in the
time.
facility and he's going down, he's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And I was like, "He's on automatic." I mean, it was again so
Obvious. It was
obvious,
so
so
obvious. It's
predictable.
Spoiler
like,
alert.
oh,
Just
you
oh please,
literally
if you're
insulted
watching
my
here,
my
it's spoilers.
intelligence. Yeah, you
We
Yeah.
said we
insulted
were
my
going to talk about
intelligence.
it.
Diana,
Yeah, that's
I
So,
Yeah.
think I have a theory why Diana doesn't like the Vulcan, because
it happens to me also. I hate this Vulcan, and this is the theory.
He has a bad haircut. Yes,
This was in the
It's about the haircut. Yeah.
the haircut.
this is in the mind of producer. They like Vulcans, right? Is the
Yeah,
correct word.
Vulcans.
Vulcans.
By the way, I may or may not be enjoying the vodka. So, disclaimer.
Oh, well, shoot. You
Okay,
should have told me
Vulcans?
that. I have some Southern Comfort still for my birthday. Go
let
ahead,
the girl
Maria.
finish. Let the girl finish her sentence, please.
Please.
I don't.
I speak in a different language. Don't make jokes because probably I'm not going to understand them, okay? If you like Vulcans, I'm going to make jokes about the Vulcans. Do you like Vulcans? Trekkies? Okay. I'm going to laugh out of Vulcans. So, I mean, they have heart, the heart of the trek, because they are laughing at something that we love a lot. Do you understand me?
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
feel
feel the
like
same way.
Kind of. I
Yeah.
think, I bought it a little bit crude. I think to make
I
fun
went a
of.
whole- I went a whole nother direction. I was like, okay, so they're making the tiniest
Leaving
guy Irish. And do they think he's a leprechaun? I mean, I thought that was kind of rude, which maybe maybe it tells you all about my stereotypical thoughts. But I was like, seriously, they made the little guy Irish. How do
No,
you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they did
Oh,
a
the
good
lucky
job.
Vulcan
I mean-
is magically delicious.
Yeah, what the deal?
I'm back.
Sorry, it's a commercial for a
um,
cereal here in the United States.
I don't know what they thought about it. Maybe it's in the thing that Maria said, that is they want to make fun about one of the core races of Star Trek, and I'm not sure this is funny. Maybe it's my hilarious German sense of humor, but but you don't do that, okay? You don't make
Yeah.
fun of the
Something
Vulcan.
that is so loved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
that's
So,
totally
I mean,
fair.
we can. There's so much, or so many things you can make fun of, but they never hit the quite
The core.
never. I mean, they used to have this conversations, and like, seriously, that's your sense of humor, or is this going to? Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't that it
Yeah,
didn't
just go on,
translate;
just go
it was
on.
just bad.
Yeah. It was like the godsend or the god's end. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
taking over for about 2 minutes and then and then just go on, please.
These characters, the characters in the plot only exist to take up the time in between the action sequences. That's it.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
not there for any character development. I mean, literally, the character development is sort of the couple minutes that we have with Giorgio. He's like, I saw who you all are. You know, we have sexy charm time Delton. Like, literally, that's that character until she gets vaporized because
Yeah.
she engages in a fight instead of using her skill as sexy charm time Vulcan. We have Mech Guy, who's more artillery than IQ and suffers from mech dysmorphia. That's it. That's what the character is.
Yep.
Who else do we have? Quasi.
Quasi,
What is
I
Quasi?
enjoyed a little.
He proved that Glio, what was it? Glio formed something. And
Yeah,
did
that
they
they
ever
exist.
explain what the hell that was?
No, not
And
at all.
he was fun to watch as a character, but his key character trait was being absolutely indecisive. You know, this is supposed to be, if we can debate the pros and cons of Section 31 and its existence within the Federation, but this group of people are supposed to be the alpha team. They're supposed to be doing the, elite clandestines, black ops, but they're all psychopaths.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what I was thinking is there was Farscape, You mentioned Farscape, and I mean this group was so different in itself. So there was I don't know, there was Crichton and there was Aaron Sun, and they kind of figured out how to work together. I never had this feeling with this group. This group was so completely
Yeah,
that
you're right.
indifferent that I thought, and you want to be an alpha team, you want to be the I don't know, but the only really interesting character was vaporized. I mean, the Dalton would be more interesting than this Vulcan guy, you know.
But
Yeah, I
we
would have been
vaporized
interested
her.
getting used to Mal. Mal looked like it would. I thought that they would discover that she was more than sexy charm gal. That
Yeah.
she's intelligent and maybe funny and stuff. No, they didn't delve into anything. We only got a couple of layers, like a basic description. Like the only reason I like the quail was because Quasi,
Quasi?
thank you, that we got to see a little bit more of him. He had some decent dialogue, so we got to know him a little bit more, I think. But yeah,
Well,
I
I,
mean,
th- I think
you don't feel bad when Mecha Dude dies. You're just like, yeah, he's gone. I don't give a crap
yeah.
about any of them.
Timu cybernetic Borg guy.
Yeah, bye.
And it wasn't too surprising that the little fast guy, that he was the traitor,
No,
wasn't
yeah,
really like oh yeah, I know that. But what I think would be more interesting to have the Dalton into it, because she is a manipulative race in itself,
yeah.
and this was this ability. And I mean, it would be interesting to see a manipulative race like the Dalton, Mel, it's her name, and to act with another person who is manipulative in this group. So that would be
No oath of celibacy here, folks.
Yeah.
so that would be for me more interesting to see how they would interact
Interact.
with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got a question that I don't think the writers even knew. Why is Giorgio even there? Because
Yeah.
the mission orders from Control are, okay, we have to go to this distant part of the galaxy beyond Federation borders. We can't cross because of treaty reasons. So go contact Giorgio so she can help you identify the threat. Okay, so they arrive, and their whole plan was simply to incapacitate Giorgio, to use the chameleon guy. What's the species name? The
Cameloid.
bad Trek fan right now, Comaloid. So the Comaloid is going to impersonate her. They know Data No is the guy who's, going to be taking the threat to the buyer. Giorgio doesn't know anything that the rest of them don't already know. Why is Giorgio there? Why is Rachel Garrett there? Except, okay, Section 31, we can't trust you not to murder each other. There's nothing. Okay, well, more backstory for the character, but there just isn't. I mean, there's not even something well written, like a comment, like they get to the garbage scow and someone quips her. Oh, piloting a garbage scow must have been your lifelong ambition. And she responds something like, well, no, but not everyone gets to be captain of the Enterprise. Just a shred of cleverness, and it just isn't there.
It's not clever at all.
No. And it's so far from what we want, what we desire for a Star Trek, that I don't understand why I have done this.
You know what me really pisses off, sorry the language, but what me really pisses off is they spent $18 million on this movie. $18 million. And they're telling people, oh, we don't have the money to do Legacy. We don't have the money to do decent Star Trek at all. So
and they take a completed season of the beautiful, wonderful Prodigy, and for tax reasons,
for instance, but we could regarding to the numbers of Terry Metalis, there was 1 million per episode in season 3 Star Trek Picard. That means $18 million. We had 5 seasons with at least
you're right.
12 episodes. if not 15 episodes, and they throw it away, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what I'm sick of and really angry about. I mean,
Yeah.
you can think about section 31 whatever you want, but just to stay in front of the people and say we don't have the money to do that, and then deliver this,
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
that makes me angry.
And
That really makes
you
me
know,
angry.
you are a businessman or businesswoman. You want to make money, so we are asking for something that millions of people are going to watch. That is legacy. Don't you want to make money?
Politics and egos. I think Kurtzman contract is up in 26. Again, I'm mentioning his name. And, you know, I think sometimes, like, I don't know Alex Kurtzman. Like, it's very hard to be critical of someone with the understanding that it's literally not Alex Kurtzman who's writing these things and filming these things and writing the checks for these things. There's so many layers of creative decisions and actors who get involved and their ego gets involved and they want their character written a certain way or to have so much screen time. And, you know, sometimes it comes together beautifully when you get people who are passionate about what they're doing and everything clicks. I mean, Picard season 3, they were under the gun for their budget. And somehow Dave Blass and Liz, I don't want to mess up her name, but they get in there and they make a beautiful reproduction of the Enterprise D bridge because that is so important to telling the story versus, you know, just this generic schlock that they seem to think, okay, you know what, we're occasionally going to drop something here or there. Like, for instance, Georgiou's Maitre D at the Bahrain. Is that the name of the bar?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
then
know.
he was
So he's a, what is
Virgil.
it, a Chironian? He's
Yeah,
a
he
Chironian.
is.
Yeah, Virgil is a Chironian
Yeah.
who is from a classic TOS episode. I think it's Let This Be Your Last Battlefield, where there's it turns out that literally there's 2 of them left, or at least as far as we know, there's 2 of them left. And there's this beautiful morality play about divisiveness of all things. And that's all they have is their divisiveness and their hate for each other. And not even, it's just like, oh, look, track thing. Here's the black and white guy. That's it. Oh, you know what? We're doing the fan service. Here's the guy. Not even a little clever line like, I don't know, is he the good one or the bad one? They're so hard to tell apart.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. A lot of wasted opportunities. They wanted to have Michelle Yeoh wanted to be in a Star Trek show. She was ready to do it, and they wanted her.
I love
And
Michelle
instead of
Yeoh.
going, this won't work as a series. Let's scrap it and find something that will work for Michelle and work in the universe of Star Trek. I think their biggest problem is they didn't just toss the original idea out and start from scratch, because
I thought
just
I think there's a version of this movie that could work if someone actually put in the balance to create the effort to say, okay, we want to do something fun and new and different. We're outside of the Federation, so we get to play in a different sandbox, have a little bit of fun. But you know what? Do it the other way around. Say, okay, there's this galactic threat outside our borders, and the only person who could help it's Georgiou, who used to be in Section 31.
Yes.
We haven't contacted for years. And Rachel Garrett shows up, throws her the black badge. We need you back. We need to save the universe in 24 hours. And then Georgiou puts together this team of misfits.
Yes.
For
that
me,
would make more
that works.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have made a heck of a
That's
lot
it.
more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we? All right, we generally decided that this just was not the Trek we were hoping for. What do we think
I'm
that
thinking
this
I
is
need
going
to go get my heart checked for the blood pressure being elevated.
Yeah, I got that on my watch. I've been watching mine go up. Do you?
Oh, wow.
How do you think this will affect us getting Legacy? Because I have many
Well-
thoughts on that we cannot fit in the amount of time that we have here. So what do you guys
Right.
think?
Well,
Okay, I think, I think that they have spent a lot of money in something that it's not going to work in terms of making money for them. That I think this is something important for a businessman or woman. And but I think that also this could activate people to actively go for something that they want to see, to watch in the screen, which is
Yeah.
legacy. So perhaps, I don't know, perhaps something good, I don't know, good for us who want a Star Trek Legacy.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that because as we noticed, he's literally paying no attention to the fans, and I'm pretty sure being my optimistic self, I think that Legacy. I hope they will turn the tables and say, okay, let's try something they really like to see, that they make a smart decision about it. But I probably not. No, not probably. I'm not sure that that will happen because Kurtzman has his idea of Star Trek and a new version, and I don't think there will be Star Trek Legacy in it, unfortunately. And considering the political state you guys are in, I'm honest. I think Star Trek Legacy will be a politicum. You know, we have two female women on the bridge. They are gay. Well, at least one of them is gay, and one is a person of color. And you know, I don't know how the new guy is on Skydance, but from what have seen or noticed is that he's a daddy's boy, and daddy is a MAGA. So I don't. I'm very optimistic when I say maybe they will make Legacy, but I don't see it.
So I say never. We've been fighting this fight going on 2 years now. You know, we were doing the letter writing campaign to honor, save Star Trek in the 60s. This is a very unique fandom in the influence that we've had on the franchise and continue to have. You know, we would not be sitting here having this discussion if John and Bijo Trimble didn't do what they did back in, I believe it was 1966, when it was on the cusp of cancellation. And if there had not been that third season after the millions of letters that were sent into, I believe, NBC at the time, Star Trek would just be a footnote. I mean, when's the last time someone's talked about the time tunnel, I think, if that's even the name of a sci-fi from that era that only went 1 or 2 seasons. So I believe that this is an opportunity for the fandom to unite. And regardless of if Star Trek Legacy gets made or not, to say, no, this is not the direction of Star Trek. This is not the spirit of Star Trek. And we do have this very idealized vision of Gene Roddenberry and his hopes for a future of humanity where we get past our petty differences. But, Star Trek is unique in that, but not necessarily. At the end of the day, if they're not going to make what is both going to please the core fans and bring in new viewers, which Star Trek Legacy is ready to go. Picard season 3 proved it got the ratings. The fans loved it. It was the first to break into the Nielsen top 10. So hopefully when Skydance is ready, and they're making the decisions, I appreciate that's a really interesting perspective in terms of the politics of it. But at the end of the day, making money is what the politics are all about. That's what the decisions are made about. It's making money. And, we're going to be launching phase 2 coming up in a couple of weeks once we're celebrating on February 16th, the 2-year anniversary of Picard season 3. And that's when we're going to start collecting the letters, collecting the receipts to specifically go to Skydance and show them, hopefully at that time we have tens and thousands of letters and are able to say, this is what the fans want. And on top of that, this is what's going to grow the franchise and take it in a new direction.
Hopefully.
I live in hope. I hope that when Skydance gets into it, they've said before that they are interested in making this series. So I hope that maybe because of the political situation in this country, it'll get made. Maybe because people need a little direction as to how to treat each other, how to have respect for each other's ideals and opinions without stomping all over each other. I hope. I live in hope. What can I say? And honestly, my big takeaway on this is they just need to put it back on television. They really, the whole reason we can't afford it, put it on TV again. double dip on it. Ads on TV.
Ads on TV.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
and ads on the stream.
And
So
ads on the stream.
I'm getting my
And
head
live
back in
long and
myself here.
prosper. Let's do this again. This was a great conversation.
Thank you guys so much,
Thank you guys so much.
and that was the end. We never do well when it comes to the end. We can't help it. Thanks so much for joining us on our little chat about what's going to happen, what did happen. Yeah, it's overwhelmingly not our favorite Star Trek movie, not our favorite Star Trek installment. Not even sure it should be called Star Trek, and hope that it helps to show people the direction we'd like to go in. All right, you probably don't want to see my Google page, so have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to leave some comments, post your ideas, and we will have more updates about Star Trek, and I'll see you again in another video.